In this video, I wanted to return to this piece and give you a little bit of an overview of my process. And this is the, uh, if you've seen the video that I had, the basic rendering process or approach that I did earlier with that Superman piece, um, that's something I used to do for years, and I think it's a great way to get your feet wet in digital coloring. But this is the process I use now, and this is the approach that I go into detail and teach in my courses, beginning in Learn to Color Comic Books 101. So I just wanted to do an overview, kind of demonstrate how this process works. So, if you're thinking about enrolling in one of my courses, you'll get a clearer idea of exactly what it is I'll show you how to do. So again, here's this Batman piece I've done a few other videos with. So if you've already seen the video where I demonstrate flatting, and then of course the video on unifying your colors, which is where I begin to start defining my palette, then you'll be up to speed where I'm starting here. So this is going to take off where I proceed after that point. So if you recall, over here, yeah, I live near an Air Force base, so there's jets flying over. I don't know if the microphone's picking it up, but that's kind of distracting right now. If the microphone's picking that up, I apologize. But anyways, over here in the layers palette right now, I have a layer which I have turned off of local color. So that's all the actual color of each object. Then I have this group here that is where I unified the colors to put some blues, cooling it down, start setting the tone and the mood of the scene. And then I have, again, basically the same layer as local colors down here in the background. So first, I'm going to select the group, hold down Shift and select the background, and hit Command E to merge those two. So now I have the one with my unified colors and then the one with my local colors. All right, turn that back off. So the next thing I do is I'm going to go through and select all the backgrounds in the all the elements in the backgrounds or environment. So basically everything but Batman and the Penguin on this page. All right, so there's that. Then see in my actions palette, these Learn to Color action set. This is what you get with my course. And so first I start with this create background group action, which you can see I've also assigned to an F key, so I don't have to go into the action palette each time. So I'll do that, but I'll do it from the action palettes this time so you can see it. So then I hit play. And then that has set up my renders for the backgrounds. You can see over here. And then it's also inversed the selection. So now I'm just going to deselect the borders because I don't do any rendering on the borders. And now you can see that the figures, Batman and the Penguin, are now selected. And so then I'll do the create figures group, which again is assigned to an F key. This time I'm just going to hit the F key there. And so now I have two groups here, and it sets up how I basically do my renders. And because I do the figures and the background separately because I feel that that's easier to work. I start with the backgrounds, kind of establish how the environment's going to look, and then I move on to the figures. This is the basic setup here. Again, is my unified colors, everything in the background. And then I have a multiply layer, which again only affects the stuff in the background. This is the case I just want to make something darker. Of course, I can duplicate that and change the blending mode to normal or anything else. If I want to, I can modify any of these. And then I have I start with 3 highlight layers, so I can build up my highlights. And right now, this is my local colors set to linear dodge. So actually, I'm going to select the highlight layer 3. Another thing, since I'm using masks here, you can see these sets up masks. When I go from masks, you'll notice it turns off my line art. Which you see my line art is on a channel here. So I've set up another action that will turn the line art back on, which I've set to an F key. So every time I switch to a mask and turns it off, I just quickly turn it back on. As you can see. So, all right. So first, I am just going to demonstrate here. I'm going to select the background, or this part of the wall here, deselect the ground. Going to go into my brushes palette and select a textured brush that I've created. And I am going to start brushing onto here. And see, as you can see, I start getting highlights, and all these highlights are based on the local color of the object. And I can still build up the light. Now, this is fine for regular, straightforward daylight scenes or anything that's being lit with white light. However, this is going to be, this is in Gotham City. This is at night, so I'm going to want this to be a bit more moody. So I'm going to duplicate this layer, fill that first mask in with black. So now I have my renders here. Deselect thing, and I am going to now start adjusting my palette. Since I don't want the straightforward colors, I am going to pick an orange, as if there's like because you can see the street lamps down here. So I'm going to have some of my light coming from the street lamps, so I'm going to use an orange light. I'm going to fill that layer in with that orange. And turn my line art back on, and you can see I now have, I've now adjusted my palette, and now I'm getting this orange in there. It's a bit bright, so I am going to push that back a little. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now I'll go in here with the brush again, throw in some shadows. Just doing this really quick. I'm not going to be coloring this full page. I'm just demonstrating, the technique I teach in my courses. And my courses, of course, it's a lot more comprehensive than what I'm doing here. This is just to give you a quick overview of how I do this. And again, I can continue the background. It's got the ground here. Take the brush. There we go. I'm going to create a bit of a cast shadow. There's that. Alright. Now I'm going to go back down to my local colors for the sea. Actually, I'm going to switch my brush up. Alright, and then another thing, I have another action set up so I can just, if I want to, I can just isolate my selection onto another layer. So here we go. Now I have a work layer, and now the only thing this affects is the part I had selected before. So now I can go in here, say I want to do a cut to kind of define these ripples a bit. Alright, so now I got some ripples, and again, what I like right here is I can come in here and then refine some of the rendering without affecting the colors that I've established underneath, since all my renders are on the mask with my process here. I'm just going through this kind of quickly just for demonstration purposes. And then, since I'm done with the water and I no longer need it isolated, I have another action which puts it back. And okay, like again here for this wall, I want this lit to be a bit reflective light from the water. So I'm going to, here's another action that turns off my rendering groups so I can get to the flats. I'm going to turn on the local color, grab the local color from the water. Oh, I forgot. Got to be on the coloring layer to do that. All right, there we go. Grab that color, that off. Another action to turn my rendering back on. And then I'm going to fill on the color layer with that color. And I'm going to go, where'd it go? There it is. Grab the brush I was using before and start establishing go. Alright, I'm going to go to this layer, and again, I want a cooler color for the parts that aren't being hit by the orange light. So I'm going to pick that color. Make sure I got, yeah, fill in that layer. No, it didn't fill. Let's do that again. There we go. There we go. And I can start rendering in the rest of this panel. Now this system that I've developed that I teach in my courses that I'm using right now, I developed this back in 2013 during the Doctor Who 50th anniversary year, because that year was a very busy year for me. You know, I was working on the Doctor Who books for IDW at the time, and so just on the Doctor Who stuff, and I had other projects going on too that I was committed to, but just for the Doctor Who stuff, I was doing basically 3 books a month. I had the regular ongoing series, I had the reprint series, and then the 50th anniversary series, Prisoners of Time. And of course, things kept getting delayed and getting pushed right up against the deadline, and I had to make up the time. And and I used to color at the time I was coloring in a system closer to that basic rendering approach video that I've done, and it was too tedious. I needed something that was a bit more streamlined, something where I could just jump into the renders, keep rendering, adjust my palette and values as I went without affecting one another. And so that's when I started thinking about what I could do to do that, and that's how I came up with this one, or this system. And yeah, it's revolutionized and really streamlined my process for me. So that's why I decided to start doing Learn to Color and teach other people this system, because I figure for someone who's been doing it for a while, this could be valuable. They probably can pull something out of this that could be very beneficial to them. Also, at the same time, I felt that this system, once I showed you how to set up the actions to automate everything, this would also be a great system for a novice to learn from and start off from. And so far, I've been getting a lot of good responses from these courses too. People find this very useful. Yep. So, all right. So basically, I've done a basic rendering on this background. So I'll move forward, demonstrate a little bit on the figures. The same thing here. Fill in that panel with that orange. There we go. Again, just going to create a quick cut on Batman here. Give them some rim lighting from that street lamp. This will also help make them pop. Okay, and create another layer here. To get a nice hot highlight. I don't like the way that looks. But again, you can see how easy and quickly I can adjust my renders with this system. Yeah, that's good. I know, so I went into Penguin here. I don't want that, so I can quickly fix that. While I'm still in the orange, I'll create some orange highlights on Penguin here. Alright, then again, I'm going to pick that same cool color, fill that one. Actually, I don't like that. And again, before, you've seen that video on that basic rendering approach, which, like I said, I used to use. It's a lot of those, they have to grab each shape individually and put it onto another layer, and then do renders on that, and then merge it back down. And that whole rigmarole. With this one, I can just grab the shapes I want, put that in there, and well, on this layer I have a solid highlight color, but as you can see, normally if I'm just working from the local colors, I can render with different colors on each shape all simultaneously and not have to worry about going from shape to shape. I just do the whole thing all at once, which is a lot faster. Actually, let's, there. Oh, deselected. There we And again, I'm just doing this quick, rendering. It's not really about the style. But I'm using a few different approaches. Like I said, I was doing a lot of brush work on the background. Here I'm doing more of a traditional cut and grad look. And yeah, because this system, you can do a bunch of different rendering styles that it works with. And then, like I said, like here, I can go in and refine my renders if I want. Yeah, and the other thing with this system too is, it makes it so easy to adjust my palette as I go. Because like say if I don't like that orange, I want more red, go in and I can make it more red, which I don't actually want to do, but if I did want to do it, I can play with it. If the colors I selected aren't working, I can just easily go in and just start just straight up adjusting my highlight colors without worrying about messing up my renders, since they're on these separate masks. And as I'm showing like here, I'm I'm adjusting, playing around, softening up some of the hard edges here, and the colors remain the same. It doesn't really change the quality of the colors. And like if I blend on where two colors come together, let's see if I can, see like here, I'm not blending the base color at all. I'm only blending the highlight. And when the highlight comes on to like the flesh tone here, it affects what's underneath it differently, because I am only messing with the highlight colors. All right, yeah, I think that gives you a pretty decent overview of the rendering style I teach in my courses. Um, so again, if you want a more comprehensive look at exactly how I do, um, you know, my process works, and you get all these actions I'm using and more. I demonstrate how to load them in step-by-step fashion, and how to apply them. Um, make it really easy for you. And you start with Learn to Color Comic Books 101, which, I mean, even if you've been coloring for a while, uh, Learn to Color Comic Books 101 is more about my approach. So that's where you want to start, and you get all those actions there. And then, of course, if you want to learn how to apply different rendering techniques, that's where I have Advanced Cut and Grad, and I'm going to be releasing some more showing you how to do different rendering styles and how to apply that to my technique or to my approach. And I have, basically it's a series of courses I'm doing, so it's modular, and to just start off with, which will teach you how to start and color comic book art beginning to end and have it ready to go to print. That's Learn to Color Comic Books 101, and the base price on that is just $20, which is very affordable, especially if you're familiar with other online courses, especially art ones. They can get kind of pricey. I trying to keep I try to keep them pretty affordable, and doing as a series of modular, so you can just pay for what you think is of value to you. So if you can just do Learn Color Comic Books 101, which is $20, and you'll learn this basic approach and that, and you can go from there. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it this time, and yeah, I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that piqued your interest, and if you're interested in enrolling in Learn to Color Comic Books 101 and possibly my other courses as well, go ahead and click on the Learn to Color Comic Books logo right here, and that will take you to the overview of my courses. And of course, also hit this subscribe button so that you can be alerted whenever I update a new video to my YouTube channel. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.